Hey guys, in this video we're going to create this landing page from scratch using Figma. Now, this is part of a landing page design from a UI kit which I recently found on UI8. So feel free to check it out if you're interested in seeing the entire product. And I also want to remind you that I recently launched a free course on how to get started in UI UX design, where I basically share and teach my over a decade of experience in this field. So feel free to check it out if you're interested in learning and getting into this field. But now without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new frame. We're going to select desktop, 1440 pixels of width. And we're going to double click on the frame name and rename it to 1. Now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add the first text element, which is going to be the logo. Now this is going to be here, and let's duplicate it by using Shift and the Option key, or you can also use Command C and Command V in order to create a duplicate of this text. This is going to help us in just a moment. But before we continue, we're going to increase the size of the logo. We're also going to make it heavy. Now in this case, we're using SF Pro text, which is text from Apple. And you can also use any other typography that you prefer, really. So let's go ahead over here and let's duplicate this a few times using Command D. And we need 5 of those. So we're going to have landings, we're going to have pages, docs, and the help section. All right, well, let's duplicate this one more time. Let's write get it now. Perfect. So at this point, we're going to create a rectangle around the get it now. And I'm going to bring it down using Option and Command key and also the arrow keys down. And we're going to round it up just a little bit. Make the fill, actually let's remove the fill altogether. And I'm going to add a stroke around this text, which is probably going to be on a blue, such as this one here. And let's go ahead, let's make it a little bit smaller, and we're going to make the actual text of the same blue. All right, so at this point what we're going to do is we're going to add an arrow on the side of some of these menu items. So I'm going to write in arrow inside of Nucleo Icons, which is a free icon management software which you can download by simply googling Nucleo Icons, and you're going to find their official website right away, so that you can leverage this, in my opinion, amazing resource. All right, so we have this right here, and what we're gonna do is we're going to change the color of all of these elements really all together. So let's make this the same color, and I think we are position, and let's duplicate this one more time. Now what I'm noticing is that these arrows aren't really thick, so I'm going to go ahead and add a stroke around them, which is going to have the same color. All right, so this is looking good so far. I'm going to group these, and also we're going to group this element right here. And now let's select all of them, use the distribute horizontal spacing in order to create equal spacing between these menu items. All right, so we're doing well. One thing that we're missing in the logo is the blue dot. Let's go ahead over here. Let's add a blue dot, and here we go. Now at this point, we're going to start adding the layout grid. So let's go under the columns. Let's add 12. Let's add some margin. And we're also going to tone down the color of the layout grid so that it doesn't interfere too much with the design, but still gives us a clue as to where to focus our attention and if it's actually if everything is working within the grid. All right, at this point, let's write the main title. And let's increase the size significantly, I would say. And let's create a darker version of this blue, but still with a tint of blue. I'm going to make the logo the same color for design consistency. So let's go over here and write okay, so this is the main tagline. Let's bring it down. Let's increase the height between one sentence and the other. We're also going to make it bigger. Probably around this value. And let's go over here. Let's duplicate this button, and we're going to write, actually, let's see how we can do. Can ungroup it, auto layout, and get 14 days trial. All right. So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're going to create a darker version of this button, something like that. And I think we're good to go. All right, now at this point, what we are going to do is we're going to round up the borders just a little bit. Also going to change the color so that it has this almost yellow tint. And we're going to start adding some of the elements which are shown within the original UI kit, and we're going to create them from scratch. So even if the element won't work perfectly within the grid, that's fine. These are visual elements, so we can freestyle a little bit with them, if that makes sense. And now let's add some drop shadows. Significant. We're going to make it light. Okay, so before we move on, I'm going to create all of the other elements really, so we can have a high level view of what we're missing, what is there at the moment, and essentially trying to mimic the original design. Right, let's bring this to the back. And let's go ahead. Let's make one of these elements. Let's increase the size of this one. And I think we're doing well. I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm probably going to just not make these corners rounded anymore. And I'm going to give this a lighter color, maybe such as this one. And I guess from a bird's eye perspective, we're good. And at this point, I'm going to group all of these and lock them into place. All right, now at this point, we're going to start adding text. So I'm going to write in post type. I'm going to make it bigger. And let's make this dark. And let's also just copy and paste the styles. So it's going to be images. So it's going to be videos. And now let's add the different colors. All right, first one, we have the second one. Let's make it just a little bit smaller. And let's make them closer to each other. Let's group them together. And here we go. Now let's create an ellipsis for the very next element. And what we're gonna do is we're going to add a stroke, remove the fill, increase the stroke quite a bit. I'm going to make this completely just baby blue, and we're going to round it up. And here we go. Now let's create a duplicate, and I'm going to just flip it horizontally. Okay, I just closed Figma. Wrong keyboard shortcut. Always couldn't get those wrong. It's a Shift and H. All right. So let's do something like that. Only. And let's increase the size, maybe just by 1. And let's scale it down a bit. All right, let's create a circle over here. And this circle is actually going to have the same properties as the background, just with a little bit more of intensity in the drop shadow and less blur. So maybe something like that could work well. Now let's go back to Nucleo. Going to write in upload. Let's grab this element right here, this icon. Let's bring it here. Let's make it of a dark color. And yeah, overall we have our base for this. Now let's do the same over here. Let's increase the size of this ellipses just a little bit. I'm going to make it light blue. I'm going to add the thumbs up. And let's go ahead and increase the intensity of this color. And here we go. All right. So let's increase the text size just a bit more. And we have our element. Now at this point, we're going to start adding some more of these elements. This one has to go inside of here and below. We're going to write in overview. We're also going to, well, let's just unlock this and remove the border, basically the group. Let's add a little bit of these rectangles. I'm going to create a template for this, and then I'm going to simply duplicate it throughout this project. And let's go over here and let's make this a smaller section. I'm going to make it quite a bit lighter. Let's do the same over here. Okay, let's increase, let's make this one lighter. Let's bring it up just a bit. Now let's duplicate this just a few times, just so we have the basic reference. We're going to fix it in just a moment. And now I'm going to add a stroke. And I'm going to add a dashed line. And let's do like that. And let's change the color of this one. Let's make it 100%. Just like that. I'm going to increase the luminosity. And let's make it 100% on this one as well. And something around these lines could work pretty good. Let's bring it to the back, and we have our basic element. Cool. At this point, what we're gonna do is we're going to have another element here below, and it's going to cover all this part, and then another one just going to cover the width of this section. Let's add some more of these elements. So just duplicated it. Oops. Over here. Let's bring this one right here. And let's bring this one to the right. Let's select these guys. Let's bring them up. Let's bring them up. And we are pretty much sorted at this point. Maybe let's make this headline just a little bit bigger. Let's bring this one up. And we have our basic design. So really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I remind you to check out the full UI kit on UI8 if you're interested in having a look. And I'll see you in the next video.